Several months ago, I made videos talking about Fortnite's most forgotten items of all time, but today I wanted to revisit some of Fortnite's most forgotten features of all time. So this video will be tailored more about features rather than weapons, and you'll see what I mean very shortly. And I anticipate this being a multiple part series just because I have so many forgotten about features that you guys commented on my recent community post, so thank you for that, of course. So if you have a great feature that wasn't included in this video, just comment it down below and it may make it into a future one. If you guys go on to enjoy this video, be sure to leave it a like and use code TYFRYZ to support my videos that I can continuously make here on YouTube. With all that being said, let's get right into it. It's going to be a little bit of a nostalgia trip. And right away, we got to talk about Fortbytes. And honestly, I was not a big fan of Fortbytes back in the day. I'll say it, I got my hands in the air. I was not a big fan, but honestly, looking back on it, I kind of wish a system like this would come back. If you don't remember, essentially, Fortbytes were the way of like unlocking battle pass variants, like of the skins, so like the different colored skins, all that stuff. You'd have to collect a certain amount of Fortbytes. And these Fortbytes almost looked like mini puzzle pieces, and a new one would be revealed each day of the season, and it would be placed in like a random spot across the map. As well as this, each Fortbyte you collected would match to a different piece on the big, huge loading screen with Jonesy, particularly like the Caveman Jonesy, and basically like predicting what would happen in the future. The only thing was there were 100 Fortbytes, so you'd have to go to 100 individual unique locations or like a specific challenge just to get the Fortbyte. And you were essentially capped at one a day, right? So it's not like you could collect all 100 in the first couple of days and reveal what the picture was. No, you had to wait every single day for the new one to come out, which some people may see as a bad thing, but I actually think it's a good thing. Like this photo of Jonesy and predicting the future and all the little Easter eggs that were in this photo slash like loading screen, right? Like this was not leaked. Nobody knew what it was. It was a huge surprise and you had to wait till the very end to see what it was. And if I remember correctly, it was like Jonesy predicting like the monster fight or like something about Season X in there. They honestly got a lot of hate back in the day, but now looking back on it, I think they should come back. Next, we gotta talk about a main feature of Chapter 2 Season 2, that being Shakedowns. And if you never played Chapter 2, you probably have no idea what this is, so let me explain. Basically, a shakedown can only be performed when an opponent is knocked, right? You go up to them, you press basically your interact button, and then you you basically take out the tablet, and then you drop them, and then once you're in the tablet, it basically like reveals everybody around you, right? Like it gives that like ping, at least everybody in that specific player squad. And basically the counter to this is basically just the fact that you can't move when you're shaking down somebody. You are stuck there. So if you were knocked, right, you'd go to your boys, hey, he's shaking me down, and you would get in his box, push him, and you'd get a free kill, right? Shakedowns are, I wouldn't say necessarily forgotten about, because I think once I say that, a lot of people know what I'm talking about and remember it, but honestly, it's just been so long since they've been in the game. But honestly, Shakedowns were like a really big staple of Chapter 2, and I was really surprised and upset, honestly, when they removed it in Chapter 3. And again, like, I totally forgot about Shakedowns until they were brought up to me by one of my buddies the other day, actually, which honestly was the inspiration for this video. Like, I didn't forget that Shakedowns existed, but honestly, it hasn't been in the game for so long, it just went to the back of my head. But once I hear that word, I know exactly what you're talking about. I really enjoyed Shakedowns, but I totally understand why somebody may not. Next, how about we talk about vending machines, but not just any vending machines, right? We all know about vending machines, but how about when they used to cost 500 materials for an item, at least in the legendary rarity? I mean, look, we all know about vending machines. We all know about the vending machines that cost gold, but back in the day, all the way back in Season 3, the legendary vending machines cost 500 materials for one item. The epic vending machine cost 400 for one item, and the rare cost 300. I mean, that's absolutely insane, and I'm glad they changed it because it absolutely was way too overpriced. Like I said, these vending machines were added in Season 3, but the change came in Season 5 when they reduced the cost of it. So legendaries would now cost 375 instead of 500, epics would now cost 300 instead of 400, and rares would cost 225 instead of 300. So a pretty sizable difference. I also could be wrong, but I believe there were honestly uncommon and common vending machines, which costed 100 and 200 materials, of course. And yeah, I just double checked that. Actually, yes, there were common and uncommon vending machines that did cost materials, but they were removed in Chapter 1, Season 8. And with that same update in Season 8, they totally reworked vending machines into how we know them today. They don't require materials, but drop a single item of your choice, right? Which, of course, is how it should have been from the start, but I'm willing to bet you may have forgotten about how much materials they cost. Alright, so I'm willing to bet that at least half of you watching this video totally forgot that weather changes and thunderstorms existed in Fortnite, and that's because I am like a diehard fan of this game, and I totally forgot about weather changes until I saw it in a Reddit thread of all places. And I guess you could probably probably throw in tornadoes into here. I think those were a lot more common. A lot of people remember those, but the thunderstorms were a whole different weather event. There was like lightning getting struck down. I think you could actually get struck by lightning. The sky would get all like dark brown, purple, blue. I'm going to try and get the best gameplay that I can for this, but cut me some slack because I don't think there's going to be a lot of it. And yeah, in Chapter 3, Season 1, they were called lightning storms, but then in Chapter 3, Season 2, tornadoes and lightning storms were just gone, apparently. When I think about the tornadoes, I think about the ones in Chapter 3, Season 3 that were like marked on the map. Those ones I remember, but the tornadoes and lightning storms from Chapter 3, Season 1, I totally forgot existed, and I'm willing to bet a couple of you at least did as well. Next, we gotta talk about, in my opinion, one of the worst features Fortnite has ever added. It's such a stupid feature. That is side grading. Let me just say something. Side grading should have never existed, or at least in the way that they did it is a decent idea, but executed terribly. And if I remember correctly, you could only side grade weapons at the upgrade benches. And basically, for example, in Chapter 2, Season 1, you could basically pick up a scar, right, go to the upgrade station, and the rarity would stay the same. So you had a purple scar, but you'd put it in exchange for a purple heavy assault rifle or an AK. I mean, the one that I remember the most was from Chapter 2, Season 3, when you just walk in there with a P90 and you could come out with a rapid fire SMG, or side grading a bolt action sniper into a hunting rifle. So it's a cool idea, it's unique, but I feel like I never used it. I just never found myself really wanting to go out of my way to an upgrade station location and side grade. I mean, if you were a really big fan of a specific weapon that was side gradable, I guess if that's even a word, like if you were a big fan of the AK over the SCAR, every time you'd go to SCAR, just go to a location and get your favorite weapon, I get it, that's cool, but it just wasn't a big enough deal for me to go out and do it. And I also believe it cost 20 wood, stone, and metal, I think. Look, let's be honest, there's a reason why it's not in the game anymore and hasn't been for years. So remember at the beginning of the video when I talked about basically how I've done a video similar to this, but with weapons instead of features? Well, one of the items, I guess you could call it, that was on that list is Gorgers, and I'm actually going to include them here on this list because while they are a weapon, they were a, I guess, staple feature of Chapter 2, Season 4. And man, these things were not only weird, but man, they were annoying. If you remember how, like, I don't know, for example, Marauders worked in Chapter 2, Season 3, it was very similar to that. They would spawn in as a group of essentially NPCs, and so the gatherers would follow players and would shoot like the small lasers at them. Those were like the small following guys, I believe, and then once you shot them and they exploded, you could then pick them up off the ground and use them as a weapon. And with it being rumored that Chapter 5, Season 4 is going to be like another kind of Marvel season similar to Chapter 2, Season 4, these might actually come back. The big like Gorger in the middle was actually pretty good. He would drop you a ton of loot, but they were so annoying to fight. They were loud. This super loud music would play while you were fighting them. It was just asking to get third party. I mean, let's be honest, the Gatherer weapon was basically useless. They didn't do anything. They were just really good against the Gorger. I mean, all around, these are just really weird and entirely forgettable. They were added just in Chapter 2, Season 4 and taken out for Chapter 2, Season 5, never to come back. Maybe next season though, who knows? And this one is actually such a good one. I definitely saved the best for last, and this actually came from a comment from my community post. That is going to be the kind of wall climbing in Chapter 5. This feature is almost entirely useless, and there's a reason why it's on this list. I totally forgot this exists, and I've been playing the game every single day. I mean, there's just not really any chances when you use it, right? I mean, it's basically just those horizontal boards that like stick out a little on the side of walls, and you just basically keep spamming your jump button, and you can basically just climb from one to the other to the other. And it's also on some buildings in Zero Build too, I believe. It's just unnecessary. It doesn't need to exist. I mean, this is like one of those things where it's like, if it ain't broke, don't fix it, right? It reminds me exactly of like hurdling in Chapter 4, when instead of jumping over like a small half wall, you could just sprint and it would automatically hurdle over it for you. It's just not necessary. Like who cares? Who has ever used this mechanic? To whoever commented this on that post, I don't have your comment pulled up, but thank you for doing that because this was an incredible idea. And guys, I have tens and hundreds of more forgotten about features in Fortnite history. So if you guys would like to see a part 2 or part 3 of this video, let me know in the comments below because as I said, I have a lot of ideas. If you would like to see more parts of this video, let me know in the comment section with a forgotten about feature. Again, thank you to everybody who commented ideas for this video, and I will catch you guys in the next one. Peace.